Wow, this is disgusting. Like, what? The Christians are taking over my Lohanthony video.
Word of advice, keep it cute or put it on mute.
Hello, my name is Kevin Darling and welcome to my world. Today we're going to be doing something special because the Christians are taking over and it's kind of wild because this is supposed to be a channel of pride and acceptance for who you are, for your sexuality especially. And a lot of people are coming up in here. Cause I be the baddie bee, Barbie Tings, banging body bee, everybody be on my D, yo I gotta be, back to the back, back to the back, who want Barbie D, who want Barbie D, everybody. Let's go on this first comment just before I even sexuality is meant for reproduction, pure and simple. Homosexuality is a sexual perversion. This is a controversial opinion nowadays, but sex is meant for a man and a woman. Okay, girl. Okay, Jenny from the block. Let me tell you, in a sense, I agree that biologically, sex is a primal animalistic thing that's meant to reproduce, to mate, to breed, carry on our species, yeah. Right? Sexuality, though, the T is, sexuality is a little bit broader than just meant for reproduction.
And that's some darling tea.
Especially in a modern society, sexuality. I know y'all hate lust and y'all hate this whole concept of the perversion. Sexuality is deeper than that. In part, a chemical reaction. And that chemical reaction creates ideas in our society that we express through art, through culture, a lot of things. I feel like you're trying to pull sexuality apart to be this thing that's specifically just for one process, which is mating. And I get what you're trying to say here, but we express sexuality, especially the LGBT community, in different ways. And straight people do too. Girl, it's not just for reproduction. And y'all are gonna say, no, straight people don't express sexuality outside of reproduction. Look at any magazine cover. Look at any music video. It's a part of our life. Your concept of sexuality being solely for breeding or reproduction is outdated. And it's not inclusive. It's just not inclusive. It's a controversial opinion nowadays, but sex is meant for men and women. If you want to be boring and you just want to, just do it when you want to make a baby, honey, I want to have another kid. Oh my God. You want to have another child? Let's finally have sex after 5 years. Let's do it. Finally. We're having another child. Girl, people be having sex recreationally. It's normal. It's healthy. It's not a sexual perversion to interact with sexuality or to participate in a sexual environment outside of what you expect God told you to do, man and woman. Girl, that's not your business. If you want to call it a sexual perversion, yeah, okay. If you want to say sex is meant for a man and woman, okay, sure. Feel free to comment that. Honestly, I don't even know if that comment is still up, and I didn't pull that comment down, girl. I've noticed a lot of the comments in this video. I'll get notifications for the first comment, and I'll read, and I'll be like, wow, this is disgusting. What? Okay. But I'm not gonna censor it. But what happened is, the comment gets pulled, and then an edited one comes up later, which is a little bit more watered down, a little less homophobic, so, that's a little bit of tea. Honestly, the reason why I wanted to make this video specifically was because I never receive homophobic hate on this channel. I never get any hate comments outside of sometimes I'll just get oh, you're gay, you're so gay or some shit like that. It's fine. But this is hardcore because this got the religious Christians especially riled up.
Stay mad, bitch.
Because they think that I am not allowed to speak on Lohanthony rebuking his sexuality and moving towards religion. I said in the original video that I'm okay with the concept of him moving towards religion. Embrace your spirituality. Embrace your newfound path with God. It's just that the way in which you went about that with Lohanthony's platform that he's already established for a lot of queer people, a lot of people who are still trying to find themselves, a lot of people who are still not sure about how to properly express their sexuality, people who are closeted, people who live in situations where they've been told that what they are, they should be ashamed of that. Something that's perverse is something that is wrong inherently. People are growing up in environments where their parents tell them that you're an abomination simply for expressing something outside of the heteronormative standard of what society tells you. Girl, I get that, especially usually your parents would be a man and a woman, a father and a mother. Usually the typical parenting structure, right? A lot of them will not understand having a child who does not fit that structure. Especially parents who were raised under religion, they may have a very negative idea of what queerness is and what having a gay child might be, and they might, you know, push them to suppress that, push them to be afraid, push them to be ashamed of themselves. Honestly, you cannot live in fear. I believe in raising your child with whatever morality you believe is the way in which to raise your child, but recognize that you may be hindering them, their development, hindering their self-esteem, hindering their ego, hindering the way in which they perceive and express their sexuality, which is a healthy thing. Ultimately, you may be hurting them in the long run. Homosexuality is a sexual perversion. Sex is meant for a man and woman. Like, I'm just gonna be real. I don't think you should have kids because, like, if your child ends up being gay, if your child ends up being a lesbian, if your child ends up being transgender, if your child ends up being like anything that is not straight, I'm worried that you might hurt them. That's the tea. So, sorry, Jenny. That's a no from me. You guys are all about tolerance until someone wants to live a Christian life. Is a Christian person talking to me about tolerance? I am going to be touching on some positive comments that I liked, that I felt were supportive of the argument I was pushing, and I will defend some of my arguments in this video. They said, there is nothing wrong with being religious or discovering what you want to practice, however, in all caps, because girl, you know it. However, something about this doesn't feel right or genuine. I looked up to him, Lohanthony, when I was younger and struggled with my sexuality, and now I'm just confused and sad. His message is harmful and so hypocritical. This is what I'm saying. People are gonna be like, it's his platform, he's allowed to do what he wants to do. Girl, this is a platform with a lot of young people who are still trying to figure shit out. And if you want to make a full 180, do you remember what Lohanthony was like before?
Stay mad, bitch!
If you want to make a full 180, of course people are going to call him out on not changing his branding, on doing this on his current platform, because it is harmful. People will say I don't have a right to speak on this.
Stay mad, bitch!
But Lohanthony posted his videos and blocked all comments. You're not allowed to comment on it. Like, there's another comment where someone said, why not just ask questions instead of being judgmental? Girl, I can't ask any questions. I can't ask Lohanthony anything. Y'all are being crazy wild in the comments on my video. Cause I beat a baddie bee, Bobby Tings, banging body bee. But I haven't restricted or limited comments, okay?
T.
I've noticed YouTube does some weird things. I noticed that some of my comments won't show up when I type in something like homosexuality or something. Big Brother's watching. But it's scary. And there is a lot of homophobic stuff, and they're up. Like, I'm not taking them down. I believe in having a proper discourse, and that's something Lohanthony's not providing to his audience or allowing them to say or speak on. So this is a reply to that pinned comment. Part of a true relationship with God is sacrificing some pleasures in the world. Living that truth doesn't mean that he's going through an identity crisis or that he's being disingenuous. It just means that he's embracing what it means to be Christian. It's not about internalizing shame, being self-righteous, or any of that. The problem with this, though, is the way he's going about his path with God, right? Part of it is expressing this on a platform full of queer people that we're not expecting this message to be put about on Lohanthony's platform. Like, I understand that people are also going to say that, well, it's his brand, he's allowed to do whatever he wants with his platform, with whatever message he wants to spread. If this is his life and this is his journey, let him express his journey on his platform. Okay, I get that. You have to be careful when you do stuff like that, though, because as an influencer with millions of followers and subscribers, I feel he should have been more careful with his words. I feel as though he shouldn't have had any breathing room to get his message twisted. Why did he say the things he said? Why is he saying things that sound kind of anti-gay, kind of homophobic, kind of like a 180 from who he is, kind of as though he's suppressing who he is due to shame? If he had just said, yes, like, I am a gay man, now I'm seeking God, and I'm so happy in this journey. Wow, amazing. Like, that's beautiful. The way he's going about this makes it seem as though he is internalizing his shame. We don't know whether that is or that isn't. It's just that expressing this on a platform with a whole bunch of young people that are still trying to figure out who they are, especially with the history of religious people and queer people. We've been persecuted for a long, long time. It's only until recently that we've been able to receive rights for marriage and adoption, or just like as people. And I'm very thankful that I live in Canada, but a lot of the people watching these videos, watching Lohanthony's content, are in situations where they are physically unsafe. They are in hostile environments. And to compare the oppression of Christianity, to the oppression of queer people is very silly. We usually see queer people not necessarily taking or ascribing to religion just because of the constant homophobia expressed in religion. It's seen as a sin. It's seen as something that is an abomination, will not allow you to get into heaven, that's not on the right track with God. Like, too much Keisha said. People can change, especially with the spirit and power of God. Okay, I did not like this comment. Let's just continue reading this comment. Y'all want to act like y'all know him so bad when he's literally pouring his heart out. Y'all want to be so oppressed and offended so bad just because someone mentions Jesus. Y'all. You might as well just say y'all fags. Like, just say you gay people want to feel so, like, girl, like, I'm not offended because someone brought up Jesus. Girl, I celebrate Christmas. I'm not comfortable with the way in which he ascribed to religion and all of a sudden distanced himself from his queerness. Like, I get, like, he's allowed to do that, right? He's allowed to do that. The specific problem was that he said, through my same-sex attraction, it led to this and this and this. Like, you're literally saying, because I was gay, I did this and this and this and this and this. I understand where he may have been going there. As I said, because of the way in which we are treated in society, or the ostracization of gay people, the way in which you may grow up feeling oppressed or ashamed of your identity, that can lead to you being depressed or anxious. You may take to certain vices in order to cope. That's not what Lohanthony said. And now he's going through Christian celibacy. You know, when I hear Christian celibacy, especially from a person who was gay, it sounds like conversion. I think you can be a Christian person and you can perform your queerness, i.e. have a healthy sex life as a gay person and still be on good terms with God. That's just not how a lot of Christian people see it. They feel as though if you are gay and you want to be on good terms with God, because it is a sin, you need to abandon your sex life, or you need to somehow convert from being gay to having sex with women. That is a suppression of sexuality. I understand that's a sacrifice he's willing to make. The problem is he's doing that on this platform. There are a lot of people who are still trying to understand that it's okay if you're not straight. This message threw them back in the closet. This message potentially made them feel as though they should be ashamed. Made them feel as though they are not righteous or they are not good. The expression of who they are, the pride in which they should feel in simply being themselves, is not right or moral. I agree. I strongly believe that it isn't my place to say, but something is off. I wish him the best and all the blessings in store for him. SY says pray, pray, pray. The way it's free, quote unquote, the way it's free for you to be proud of being gay, it's okay for a Christian to be proud of being Christian. I feel that. But you yourself needs to get close to God. Girl, you need to get close to, I didn't even screenshot the rest of it because I was just put off. Latina K said he does not have the responsibility to be an example for you or anyone else. He is an imperfect human, just like the rest of us. He stated he found God, and God transformed him, and he will live his life according to the Bible now. Lohanthony is a grown man, first of all. People can make mistakes, but celebrities, influencers, content creators, anybody who has a platform, especially when he puts a video on his platform and blocks comments, girl, they need to be held accountable for the things they're saying. And I'm not like pulling up to his house and saying, Lohanthony, pay for the things you've said. Like, y'all are pressed. All I did was make a video. Never did he bash gays or say anything wrong. Girl, go back to the video. He's a different person now, and that's the beauty of life. We can evolve as we get older. I'm happy for him, and you should be too if you loved him that much. Did you even watch my video? I totally said I never respected him. I never liked Lohanthony. I don't have any respect for you, Anthony. I never did. My problem, if he's gonna do a 180 with his brand, it seems malicious. Okay, just hear me out. Why is Anthony Quintal still posting under his Lohanthony branding? If he says that he used to chase attention, he used to chase all these things, and now he's not about that, Why not just make a new channel and say, hey guys, I'm now a reformed, or whatever you want to call it. I'm now Christian. I'm going through Christian celibacy because I don't want to be sinful as a queer person, or as whatever Lohanthony is now. And if you'd like to follow that process, feel free to follow this page. I understand it's a change in branding and it's a 180 from who I used to be. So if you are interested in witnessing me document that process, feel free to follow this new page. The problem is he's exposing his content to a lot of people who, let me just tell you, some people, especially young people, they idolize and worship celebrity. They followed Lohanthony's path for so long that his word has a lot of power. I'm not the one to judge and say whether or not Lohanthony deserves a platform. I'm not. I felt as though Lohanthony is misusing the platform that he created. Period on that. Lily McFalls said, I don't like when you said y'all want to be so oppressed because the LGBTQ plus community is very oppressed. But anyway, nobody is upset that he found God. Yo, I could like hug you right now. T Lily. Honestly, at the end of the day, I am not comfortable with all of these religious people entering the comments of my We Need to Talk About Lohanthony video, specifically because were y'all watching? Did you even know about Lohanthony? Were you here for him before any of this happened? Like, I knew of him. I had interactions with him in the past. I'm worried that a lot of these Christian people commenting were never here for him until he decided to become a Christian. Are you even concerned about the way in which he's going about this? It seems extremely harmful for him. It does seem as though he's suppressing something. It seems as though he has internalized shame, and he's misguiding his following. I said, you don't care at all about the fact he's suppressing himself and damaging his sense of identity in the long run. You just want to see him succeed as an experiment in converting homosexuality, and you want another case study in your roster of homosexual born-again Christians. He's not your brother. Someone said he's his brother. Even as someone who's always hated him and his rudeness, I didn't click read more alpha. But this is essentially what I said. I said that I feel as though I care more about his well-being. As someone doesn't even like him, then you guys, it feels as though you guys are just hopping on because, oh my God, here's this gay person who is now Christian. We have to support him because now he's Christian. He's moved away from the path of sin. Controversial opinion, that sounds homophobic to me. Just like the whole concept of my life is sinful. It sounds homophobic because I feel as though I can be righteous and I can be on good terms with God. I believe in the universe. I'm agnostic. I believe that there is something out there. There's a higher power, and that higher power loves me in my expression of love. Y'all, if you want to believe in Jesus Christ, Allah, whatever, and good for you. But as soon as you say that my way of life is sinful, that sounds a little homophobic. Some people keep it to themselves. Okay, yo, be homophobic on your own. Thank you. Y'all hop in my comments, and it's totally fine, free speech. But y'all hop in my comments, and y'all are saying that this life is a sin. I'm glad he moved away from sin. He's our brother now. Like this whole, we took him. Why you mad for kind of thing is. It feels as though you don't care about him as a person who is suppressing his sexuality and is misguiding his audience. The main reason that I'm pressed. You just care that he's another person in your case study that proves that Christianity is the way. This feels like conversion, and conversion in the long run does not look good. And it can lead to mental illness, it can lead to suicide, it can lead to a lot of things because there is a suppression deep down, and y'all call it sacrifice. That's a very hard sacrifice to make. That's identity. That's deep. I was only in the closet until I was about 15. Even before then, I was not able to really be in the closet because the way I acted, but no one could really say, nah, you're gay. Being in the closet, not being able to just be proud of who you are, especially growing up, seeing people dating and people coming to terms with their sexuality, which is apparently morally okay and apparently completely fine. Y'all go court and date. Y'all do your thing. And nowadays everyone is having premarital sex, so don't even bring that up in the comments. Like, we picking and choosing from the Bible. Apparently that's normal, even for Christians. But when you do that, man on man, girl on girl, through expressing gender in a different way, through transitioning, being transgender, all of a sudden, there's a problem. All of a sudden, you're not righteous, or you need to change, or there's something wrong, you're misguided, you're perverted, you are not going to heaven. First of all, T, because honestly, I feel like we're all in hell anyway because of the way the world is going right now, especially with Corona. Let's just, like, is there, like, where is the salvation? Is it at the end? I honestly just feel like things are exponentially going to hell. And it's not because of the LGBT community, honey. Y'all are focused on lust, you should be focused on greed. Anyway. That's tea. We as Christ followers get our identity from Jesus Christ. He tells us who we are, not this world. And then a whole bunch of scriptures. Y'all keep posting passages. And yes, I disliked it because I'm tired of people posting Galatians 3:26 and random ass passages. Please, I don't want to read it. For in Christ Jesus, you are all sons of God through faith. Read more. Okay. Daisy says, I agree with his sentiment that being sexual as an unhealthy way to cope with trauma can be just as common as drugs or other ways of self-harm, that sometimes being celibate can be a personal good way to deal with trauma. I agree in that sense. Of course, that some people, due to sexual trauma, can decide to be celibate to come to better terms with themselves before participating in a healthy sexual relationship, healthy sexual environment. Because of certain trauma, they may take to drugs or self-harm, things like that. There's a difference between doing these things from sexual trauma and from being same-sex attracted. However, linking the drug abuse to specifically same-sex attraction and treating it as a consequence of the sexual abuse he suffered is just so ... It's bad. It's not the tea. It's not what young people need to hear. Just finished the video and you put all my thoughts and feelings on the situation into words. Thank you for speaking on this and doing it in such an eloquent way. You are so welcome, Daisy. I am so thankful that there are people who are happy that I was able to speak on this. At the end of the day, my opinion is not be all end all encompassing, right? I don't know everything. I don't know everything about this situation. What I'm going off of is my instinct and my opinion and what I see from his entire career path and how I feel about him, okay? At the end of the day, if you have your opinions about this, feel free to comment or make your own video. You can still comment and say that I have no right to make a video on this. That's fine, that's tea. I'm not gonna listen because I can't, just as Lohanthony did and locked his comments. Lohanthony is a young man trying to figure out life in himself. Give him a break and let him be. Okay. Too Much Keisha says, agreed. Maybe he has found himself already, and the fact that people are judging him and feeling all of a sudden oppressed are so selfish. Adore Kabul says, LOL, okay, good on him, but he did put it on the internet. Essentially bashing those who were supporting him before he found himself. Just like you guys are commenting on this dude's page, so can everyone else. So Anthony, with his millions of subscribers, decides to make these videos, lock his comments, and I can't make a video on it? Oh, give Lohanthony, a grown man, he's a young man, he's 21, I'm 24, I'm a young man too. Let me voice my opinion on this because I feel as though he's being damaging and harmful to a lot of people. A lot of people. Laura says, I do agree that doing all this publicly in this way is very strange. There's just a weird off-putting vibe around the whole thing. Like, it's one thing to decide to pursue Christianity or God or whatever. Why is it when someone publicly says they're gay, it's being true themselves? But when someone publicly says they were sexually abused, confused, gay, and now have peace, and are not those things anymore, people say, I hope they can live a life true to themselves. People are saying, I hope they can live a life true to themselves because I do hope that he can live a life true to himself. The way in which he's going about embracing religion makes it clear that he's suppressing his identity. At the end of the day, as I said, only God can judge him. I'm not forcing him to do anything, to detract things, to clarify things. When someone publicly says they were sexually abused, confused, gay, and now have peace, and are not those things anymore, something doesn't sit right with that. Something doesn't sit right there. Not those things anymore. I just feel like his supporters finna be straight up homophobe Christians. No shade. It's called being born again, my friend. He's finally found peace with Christ and a moral standard, but you call him brainwashed. Says a lot about you and society. Okay, who's the brainwashed one here? Because you're saying he finally found peace with Christ. Great. I am so blessed that he's peaceful. And a moral standard. So, what's his moral standard? Where did his morals change? What is moral to you? To me? Where's the baseline of morality? Are we talking about the morality of Christianity? And you're calling me brainwashed. Why are y'all so pressed about morality? Why are y'all so worried about someone's moral standard? Like, y'all are happy that he's not being the big gay anymore. Y'all are happy that he's not pursuing a same-sex attraction. Like, at the end of the day, when I just water this down, y'all are just happy he's not gay. Shamshani, I totally agree with you. Being born again is having a change of heart and a mind and away from the world. I recently got saved and I actually can 100% relate to him. It's not a cult, it's not sexuality, it's not about everyone's opinion, it's about having this relationship with Christ. Y'all might think it's a cult, but God is bashing him because it's hypocritical if he stated his belief that don't sit right with you, and while it's not sitting right with you, bash him for it. Doesn't seem logical, but God bless everyone. Seek Jesus now, he is coming soon. John 16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, to whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Why is God so obsessed with clout? Why does God want me to believe so bad? Why does God care? At the end of the day, why did God... Oh my God! Why did God say, y'all are only going to be saved if you believe in me? If you... Like, why is he so pressed about that? Like, at the end of the day, like, we're all human beings. Like, whether or not I believe or not, like, why is God so pressed? If God is so nice and so forgiving, like... There are so many circumstances and situations and contextual like there are so many things in my past, so many things in a lot of people's past that may make them not believe in God anymore. And God should be understanding of those things. So if I end up at Heaven's Gate and God is like, "Oh, hunty, I'm sorry, but you never believed me. You never thought I was real." Girl, there are a lot of things that can lead to someone not necessarily believing in a God anymore. I don't feel like Jesus Christ, Allah, or whoever would be so petty. TBH. I feel like they would be like, okay, at the end of the day, let me look at who you were as a person. Were you kind? Were you a nice person? Were you giving? Were you forgiving? They're not going to be like, did you have sex with a man? Oh, no. I feel like they would care more about kindness and acceptance and courage and pride and happiness and love, love, than they would care about, so were you a follower or not? Honestly, when people be persecuting gay people, queer people about this, I think y'all have it all wrong. And low-key, I just feel like y'all are brainwashed because at the end of the day, I just want to marry the person I love and have a child with them. And I don't think God would give a shit. Honestly, check your morals, guys. I'm not brainwashed, girl. I feel like I got it right. Sham Shamni says, thank you for bringing up Matthew 11. You're right, brother. Jesus really is coming soon. I was recently saved too. Testimonies are everywhere. Jesus is pouring out his spirit to all people. Honestly, Jesus is pouring his spirit out to all people. Whenever I feel love, I feel God. Whenever I feel positivity, whenever those random moments of happiness, that's the universe feeding me. That's energy. That's God feeding you. Jesus is everywhere in that sense. Jesus is not everywhere in the sense that I have to abandon my same-sex attraction in order to be on good terms with him. I need to write a new Bible for God because his ghostwriter, it didn't work out. And honestly, if Jesus really is coming soon, then yes, I love that. Come. He's not going to not accept me because I love men. Jenny the Singer one says, Christianity is not a cult. It is freedom from sin and death. And Jesus Christ is the way and the truth and the life. See, like, when someone says Christianity is not a cult, but then they comment something that says Christianity is not a cult, it is freedom from sin and death, and Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Like, just the fact that some people say they're a God-fearing Christian. Like, you shouldn't be afraid of your God. Like, you should love your God. Like, comments like these seem like you're afraid. Like, Christianity is not a cult, it is freedom from sin and death, and Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. Did I do that right? Did I do that right? There are Christian people who are completely fine with the gay community, and I love y'all. Just the people who come up in these comments and be homophobic and essentially say, oh, like, we're glad that this gay person is now saved. It's like, girl, like, you're just happy someone joined your team. I'm literally looking at this situation, and if he's not doing it for clout, I'm recognizing that he may be in a situation of shame and feeling internalized shame and feeling guilt and some type of not accepting himself. And it's just not what you're expecting him to do is suppress things even deeper, and that doesn't sit well with me. So like, I'm not knocking religion when I talk about these comments. I'm knocking the people who are pushing these things to me and coming up in my video and saying things like this, because it's pretty much homophobic Christians. Like, y'all want to be offended so bad when people bring up LGBT or a change of heart and sexuality, but y'all can do it to be hurtful towards Christians and people who build a relationship with God. Double standards, huh? It's not a cult at all. I mean, there's some people who give wrong impressions, and they're false believers and examples, but that doesn't mean everyone. People are allowed to have a change of heart and mindset. Anthony is able to. As I said at the end of the day, Anthony is able to. It's just he shouldn't be doing it on his platform. It is extremely damaging to a lot of queer youth. The T is what makes me feel this is malicious and feels misguided, and it feels as though he's doing it for clout. What makes me feel as though he's not doing this in the right way. What makes me feel like he doesn't care about his followers or his platform, which is something I clocked since the beginning. I knew this boy was rude. Like, I don't think he cares really about his fans, because look, he's found a new way. He's not opening up the dialogue with his fans. He's feeding them content, which of course they can unsubscribe from, but a lot of young people already are attached to Lohanthony. Anthony Quintal, the person, the celebrity. And there's a lot of power in that. When he sends this new message and doesn't allow, comments are restricted, that does not sit right with me. So yeah, I can't ask questions B. So when he's openly gay and proud, that's fine. But now he's openly saved by Jesus Christ, there's a problem? Roll eye emoji. To God be the glory! Really, it's not hard to mind your business. If you want people to respect your lifestyle, then respect other people's lifestyle. Snickerdoodle says Jesus set him free. And I downvoted these. Jesus set him free. If he can, this one pissed me off. If he can heal the addicted, he can heal the homosexual. Brigham Morris Chan said, heal the homosexual of what? Being homosexual? Snickerdoodle said, when I mean heal, I mean take the desires of the flesh away. That also goes for addiction, lust, lying, etc. The desires of the flesh, y'all are so afraid of sexuality. Like, I feel, are you only having sex for childbearing? Like, that confuses me. Like, that's not a healthy sex life. Like, and that's tea, that's science, that's biology, that's that's relationship 101. You want to have another child? Let's finally have sex after 5 years. Drew Pack says, religious brainwashing, conversion therapy, all these assumptions. Why can't people just take his word for it that he found the Lord? Of course he's totally different. Anyone who has a real encounter with God always changes. He's been saved. I was totally different before I came to Jesus as well. People of the world do not understand because they do not know God. Christians, pray for Lohanthony. The enemy is attacking. The enemy is attacking. And then I said, the enemy is attacking. Like really, like, I know what you're saying. And Drew Pack said, I'm talking about Satan. Bitch, the faggots are attacking. Just say it. Like, literally, in this context, you're saying the LGBT community is the enemy. Like, who's attacking? Like, who's rebutting you right now? It's literally queer people. Precious said, are you saying that people aren't allowed to change their sexuality? Also, I don't think that he's doing this for clout. God really touched his heart. Also, what is the problem with his speaking about his walk for Jesus? If he was converting to any other religion, he wouldn't be getting such a harsh backlash. In response, Fadila, like, I'm sure sexuality can be fluid, but if you're referring to conversion therapy, no, it has been proven to be inefficient, and the only way it could appear to work is through instilling trauma and fear. They don't change your sexuality per se, but rather change the way you go about having these thoughts and relate those same-sex attractions to negative thoughts, and can leave a person with extreme PTSD from the treatment, and that's tea on that. And then I responded to Precious, Anthony hasn't changed his sexuality. He's, and I quote, a same-sex attracted man who is maintaining a Christian celibacy due to his suppression/internalized shame of his same-sex attraction as a result of finding God. Look, I'm 100% for the spectrum of sexuality and recognizing that it fluctuates and changes over time, but Anthony's expression of his sexuality and tying that to and using that as a scapegoat for the toxic things he's done to himself/his body/blaming assault on that, etc., is all really telling that he's distancing himself from his reality because of shame and guilt. And doing that in front of a young audience is extremely damaging, period. If he wants to undergo a straight lifestyle, as I quote, Precious, while still recognizing that he's a same-sex attracted man and preach anti-gay religious values, he can on another brand. Not the one he's used to reach a multitude of young people already on. Young queer people. Over the entire history of his career, he's been gathering a following of queer people, and now he's in a 180 it? Damaging. He has too much power there to be extremely harmful. Any religion, I would say the same thing. In this case of someone being homophobic, I'm not afraid to be anti-religion. In the case where people are homophobic towards me or the community, I'm not afraid to be anti-religion in that sense. I am not anti-religion, but when someone comes at me with homophobic remarks, when someone does homophobic things, when someone is inherently homophobic in the actions of what they're doing, and when it's due to religion, I will speak on it. Period. Like, y'all will recognize that I myself am religious. I'm agnostic. I believe in spirituality. I believe in some form of energy, and I feel as though I have a duty to do good things in this world. I just feel that you guys tying homosexuality, being transgender, being queer in general as something that's not good. Karen the Bot says, you can't change your sexuality, you are or not. There's been studies that being homosexual is how you're born. It's these testimonies putting the narrative of with God/Jesus' love you can conquer being gay, because they give you this willpower to not participate in such acts or even make you not gay altogether somehow. I just think Anthony should have chosen his words wisely if he had another intention that I somehow didn't catch. I'm so over this cliche that being gay is still something to be ashamed of, shied away from, or need religion to fix. Some tea there. I forgot that there are people still so hateful and not accepting to queer people. I've been out for so long that my social bubble and the people that I keep around me are accepting people that don't ever have a problem with who I am. When you do put yourself on a public platform in the same way Lohanthony is doing, with his comments off, though I'm never going to get over that one, with his comments turned off, you start to realize there are so many different types of people who still are actively hateful against something that I feel is just so natural and simple and so unneeded of hate, unnecessary. And it reminds me that we still have a lot to do and a long way to go in this world. I am extremely privileged, and I am extremely thankful that I was able to, block out the haters for so long, but it's definitely a wake-up call recognizing there are still people out there who feel as though this lifestyle is something sinful and wrong and harmful and to be changed and to be corrected for salvation. I'm also, quote-unquote, suppressing my temptations to lust after women. Does that mean I'm losing my identity? We fight against sin. It's what Jesus Christ calls us to do. I have a brother in Christ who used to be my roommate, and he used to be bi before coming to the Lord. He fights against the temptation because he loves God more than he does his sin. See, girl, your roommate is still bi. He's just so ashamed. He fights. This is an active... Listen to what you're saying. You recognize that he's still bi in the words you say. You recognize your roommate, the guy who used to be your roommate, is still bisexual. He fights against the temptation because he loves God more than he does the sin. Honey, if you're watching this, ex-roommate to Drew Pack, God loves you nonetheless. God loves you no matter what. If you are fighting against your bisexuality still to this day, I understand it must be so hard. And there are moments where you must have broken down and have just been so ashamed of yourself and so hurt. Understand how it feels to be constantly aware of your identity and constantly feel as though you're being persecuted for it. I just want to tell you that you're completely pure and valid in whoever you love. And I can't speak for God, but the interpretation for me of what God is, I think he loves you. I think he loves you no matter what or who you love. Body Decay said, the fact that you consider someone's sex life to be a sin is ridiculous. We're animals, we're meant to be sexual, it's natural. Most religious people can't think for themselves and are weak-minded. You cling onto your religion so you feel a sense of strength, and the fear involved with the religion is what keeps you hooked on it. It's sad, really. Okay. Ooh, that's touchy. I'm not going to talk about that, but let me just say that we all need faith in our lives. We all go to different things. A lot of people are afraid of death. A lot of people are afraid of their morality. A lot of people believe in the concept of being saved. It's just that There are only so many religions out there, and a lot of them are hateful against queer people. So I'm not saying don't be religious. I'm just saying, like, recognize your homophobia. Recognize what you're doing. Like, you're saying only God can judge people. Girl, you've been judging queer people. And at the end of the day, I don't think you really cared about Anthony until he became religious. And now you're trying to shelter him from queer people who recognize that he's not in a healthy state of mind. Period. T. Dunzo. Like, this one scared me. Okay? And this is what we're going to leave it on. Mars says, Drew Pack, I stand with you, brother. The world will hate us in these days. If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. That's John 5:18. The world is wicked. They do not realize they are literally playing out the Bible as they speak. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil. Okay, what are you calling evil here? We're calling evil good? Are you calling queerness evil? Like, all literally we're trying to do is love. Like, love people. Like, at the end of the day, we're just trying to, like, embrace our same-sex attraction, which is natural, which is normal, which is healthy, which is fine. What you guys are doing is asking people to suppress their same-sex attraction, which sounds evil to me. That put darkness for light and light for darkness. So you're calling us dark-sided. Is that what you're saying? And that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Honestly, what leaves me with a bitter taste in my mouth is... Okay, that could be a fucking... No, I'm not even gonna say. What leaves me with a bitter taste in my mouth is people expecting people to suppress their sexuality, their expression of love, their expression of their natural biology, the expression of their body, how they express their body, the expression of a natural sex life, to suppress that, to stay righteous. Now that leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. What's sweet to me is believing in love, believing in all forms of love, believing in all forms of healthy sex lives, letting people be people. When I say letting people be people, I recognize y'all are going to say, you're not letting Anthony be Anthony now. I'm coming for Anthony because of what he's doing with this platform. Coming for Anthony not because of the damage he's doing to himself, which I am low-key concerned, even though I hate the boy. I still have a heart. I am concerned. But it's mainly because of all the damage he may be doing to a lot of people. It's mind-blowing. These people are literally getting sad because Anthony denounced the evil sin and put on Christ. Now, when I made this video the other day, I wasn't expecting people to hop into the comments and start calling my quote-unquote lifestyle the evil sin. But this is where we are today. And this is why I had to make a fucking follow-up video for you bitches. And this is why I had to remind you all that love is love. Who give a fuck? And y'all need to check your morals, period. Because I love Christian people, but I don't love homophobic Christian people, period. You don't care about Anthony. You don't care about him or his journey. You never cared or thought of him until today. You care about another project. You care about another conversion, period. You don't care about the harm he's doing to his queer platform, period. But anyway, thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your interesting comments. I hope that this video helped you in some way. I don't fucking know. Let's just leave it at that. That's the tea. This was scalding. This was fucking scalding. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you agree or disagree with anything I said? Feel free to let me know. This is a free environment, so say what you gotta say, but I'll say what I gotta say, period. Feel free to like this video if you like this video, and the other button works as well if you don't. Subscribe to become a darling today for more content. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more of my life at xdxrlng, and I will see you all in another, perhaps less homophobic, comment-filled video. This is Darling signing off. Take care, guys.